make a decent criminal.
Oh, okay, so you're an expert on crime.
Not only true expert on crime is a criminal.
Too bad on the law.
I've found, personally, in my travels, that real men tend to live by our own set of rules. Lesser men, yeah, well, they tend to obey the law. More enforcing. Yeah, I think the overarching theme in Nemesis, for sure, is obsession. I think that my character, Coltrane Wilder, might be a little bit too close to understand that. One thing that he is incredibly aware of is the fact that he doesn't know, part of the reason he can't quit is because he doesn't know who he'll be outside of this obsession. He spent all of this time becoming an expert at his craft that, who is Tom Brady when he retires? Is he still a GOAT? Like, what does he end up doing? I think for Coltrane and particular people who of this sort of ilk, they have a hard time figuring out what they'd do if they weren't doing the thing that they nurtured the most. The gala scene. I think what it establishes the fact that these guys are kind of like soulmates. They get to see, there's this interesting sort of like obsession seduction. The only other person in the world at this point that exists for Coltrane is Styles at that moment. Because he says, okay, cool, I played a game. Here's somebody who thinks that they can play the game a little bit better. Not today, not ever, actually. Like, you are never gonna win, Styles. I'm gonna say that to the camera, you're never gonna win, Styles. And that just becomes his MO from beginning to end, through and through, and he continues to embody that. It's interesting, because I think that is the tragedy is the fact that you gotta be careful of what consumes you, even if it is the thing that you love the most. I think, did I approach it as a tragedy? No, I didn't approach it as a tragedy. I think I, much like the character, found myself in the moment trying to just figure out circumstantially, how do I win this situation? The difference between myself and Coltrane is that I probably would have just tapped out a little bit sooner for the sake of my family, but Coltrane has this idea that winning is the only win. The only thing that rivals winning for him is his love for his wife. So there's that tension there, but like, that's, I guess if anything is tragic about it, is the fact that winning is his tragic flaw, if you will.
The need to win, yeah.
The need to win.
Yeah.
The need to win by any means necessary. I think that's the big thing. So one of the things that I like about him is his obsession. Because for me, I think life can be simple if you find like 2 or 3 things to obsess with. Maybe that's a person or a concept, sort of like that, your mantra. And if they're positive, that's a really good thing. The issue with Coltrane, I think, is his control. Like, his need for control. If he's not in control, he spirals. He goes to a place of deep animalistic narcissism. So yeah, his need for control is probably the most tragic thing about him. Yeah. I'd like to say that most of it is survival instinct. Like, at the end of the day, Coltrane is a criminal. Like, that's the thing that he's decided to do. He's a mastermind. And as a mastermind in a place that's so chaotic, being calm, being the opposite of chaos, is the only elixir for him to become successful at what he does. So you mirror that with the fact that he wants to win at all costs, and you get someone who is very comfortable in the eye of the storm, being able to be calm and collected while everything that his profession, in terms of chaos, expresses itself. I'd say I'd view those as signs of it being personal and also necessary. Once again, this is somebody who wants to win at all costs. And I think it's interesting because we're dealing with two men who are, I guess, at the heart, maybe good men, but it just depends on who's telling the story. Like, some people are going to think that Coltrane's a good guy. Some people are going to think he's a bad guy because of what he does, which, maybe I agree a bit in regards to that. But ultimately, it's just a matter of what can he do to win? And he's very much just a by any means necessary kind of individual. And being that this show focuses so heavily on family, Coltrane says, all right, well, what's the most important thing to him? His son, his father, and his wife. So we're gonna go for the jugular on that one, unfortunately. Yeah. That's a good question. I think the tragedy of it all is that I don't think Coltrane knows that that's something that he wants mentally and like logically, but he's embodied such a completely different lifestyle than just going off sort of floating away into the sunset for so long that his body is like, no, his body is the thing that rejects that. And he's not as aware of that as I am as a character playing him or as any of the viewers playing him. And I think that that's sort of the biggest tragedy right there, is that he doesn't know. I don't know if he's aware of how difficult that's actually going to be for him, considering who he is. I'd like to see, honestly, like, I'd like to see Coltrane not be caught, selfishly. I enjoy the family dynamic. I really enjoy the fact that ultimately his North Star outside of winning is his wife. So I'd like to see him pursue that with as much passion and ferocity as as we've seen him pursue winning. But I'm interested to see what kind of father he is. I think one of the biggest things, or one of the positive qualities of him wanting to win all the time, is he wants to be a better father to his children than his dad was to him. And he had a great dad. So that's a really high bar for him to reach. And I just don't see him falling short there. So how does he do that whilst, how does he do that whilst engaging in these other things and also being at large? Like what Courtney Kemp and Tani, our co-creators, they definitely gonna have some late nights trying to figure that out, if they haven't already.
Have you had any discussions about, the potential future of the show? Have they said anything to you about where things might go for you?
Not much. They're kind of keeping that under wraps, which is cool though, because I like to stay as present as possible. And with it being the #1 show in the world right now, top 10 in 83 countries, I feel like maybe there's a bit of a future there, but we'll just have to see.
What has it been like to see the fan reaction, and have you experienced anything in like the real world where people have walked up to you to talk to you about the show?
Oh, absolutely. It's been really great. That's why I did this. That's why I became an actor, just to connect. So I'll be happy connecting, whether it's theater, sock puppets, if it's something, just the idea that we can connect as human beings in my form as an actor, that's the most important thing. So the fact that the show is connecting and doing exactly that at such a high level, it means everything. I had a lady, I just was on an airplane, and I had a lady come up to me, and she was just talking about how her and her boyfriend was watching, but they just got robbed. She was like, yeah, we wanted to watch, but it was like, I don't know if this is okay because these guys take stuff, but we fell in love with your character. So to have people who just were the victims of this type of occasion appreciate and enjoy and connect to a character that I was playing, I think that's what it's all about, man. Connection, and people being able to see themselves in characters that in real life might have done what had happened. It was interesting, man.